Oh, hello there. I didn't see you there. What is postmodernism? I think I'm very well suited to explaining what postmodernism is, in part because I kind of have no idea myself. I kind of have an idea, but I kind of don't know. And I think that's a really good position to explain postmodernism from. I've noticed that a lot of the people who seem to have a really good grasp of postmodernism, they're not actually very good at explaining it. You know, it's almost like the Lovecraftian, evil book where like if you read all of it, you won't be able to communicate anything in the book. It's sort of like that. So I think I, as someone who understands maybe like 20% of postmodernism, can explain it pretty well. And I think the first thing to say is that itself, the thing that I just explained, is a very postmodern idea. Because traditionally the way that you think about truth and explanations is that the person who knows the truth the best is the best at explaining it. But I think a very postmodern idea is that the person who knows the truth the best might be sort of too close to the truth to really explain it properly. The person who explains the truth the best might actually be getting things wrong. And that doesn't detract from their explanation, it actually improves it. I think that's a very postmodern idea because, people think that postmodernism is about like dethroning truth, there's no more truth. It's not really about that, it's more about just decentering truth. And like the idea that something is true, but the person who knows what's true is not the best person to explain it. So I don't really know what postmodernism is, I don't have a full understanding of it, and that's one of the reasons I think I'm well suited to explain what postmodernism is. So the first time I really thought I had a firm-ish grasp on this slippery fish called postmodernism is when I was reading a book called The Postmodern Joys of Role-Playing Games. And the book is mainly about how a lot of the enjoyment of tabletop role-playing games is distinctly postmodern. It's not just about performing a character like in a play, it's also about performing as an audience. Everyone is doing this performance. There are sort of layers of truth that exist with no real organizing center. But the book was really good for understanding postmodernism because it pointed out the fact that no one can really give you a clear, concise explanation of what postmodernism is itself probably the best explanation you're going to get for what postmodernism really is. It's the idea that, truth is sort of everywhere and nowhere, right? Like, everyone can tell you what their idea of postmodernism is, but another postmodern scholar can come along and make the incredibly postmodern gesture of just going, nuh-uh. And that's like an equally valid explanation. So postmodernism, you're never really going to get a super clear explanation. And another way to think about this is that postmodernism is not so much a claim about the way that the real world is, as much as it is a claim about the way that we think about the real world. So it's not necessarily saying that the real truth is like fractured. Actually, some people would say that. But it's not necessarily that the truth is fractured. Maybe the truth makes perfect sense. It's just we all have very different ways of accessing that truth. Anyway, I think another thing to keep in mind is that you can view postmodernism both as a philosophy and a description of a moment of history. And I think as a philosophy, it's maybe a little bit troubled. But as a description of a moment in history, I think it's ironclad. This moment where people don't really know what to think, people don't really know what's true. I mean, this is a claim that you can test pretty empirically. If you just, go down, sit somewhere, and close your eyes and think, do I know what's true? Do I really know what's true? There's sort of a gnawing, strange anxiety that I think a lot of us feel. Even when we're very confident that something is true, the first thing that we think is, well, what if it's just all bullshit? And I think that is a very postmodern gesture, that the closer we get to sort of some idea of certainty, the more we think, well, maybe it's just all been a grand illusion this whole time. Anyway, this explanation is on the verge of making sense, which I think means that it's a good time to end it. I hope that you understand more about postmodernism now, or at least understand less.